Thursday's video, we're keeping things going. All right, everyone.
Sorry.
He does this every time.
Genuinely, that's it now. Always have to shut that door. There's a draft. That's it.
Okay, take two, everyone. Okay, everyone, Thursday's video, and we're keeping things going during the international break. Stevie is with me, and we're going to fire through some of your questions. I don't know, controversial statements possibly as well. I think there may be some in there. We'll try and provide some answers and feedback. Before then, Stevie, just a couple of other things. Sligo Rovers Celtic happened last night. It finished, and you'll be across this. Obviously, you'll have watched all of this, no doubt. I know because you're a big Celtic fan. What was the score, Stevie?
Brilliant 6-2 win for Celtic. I thought he does 5 goals were brilliant. The fourth was amazing.
Do you actually not know the score?
I know it was 3-2.
Oh,
I had to
right,
look
okay.
at that. Don't worry about that. Look, Palmer hat trick. I'm not that bad.
Okay,
But other than that, nah, I couldn't care.
what else happened then?
I heard something about Scott Bain had a howler or something.
Yeah, I saw that actually. It wasn't great. He was getting a bit of stick online. The score was Sligo Rovers 2, Celtic 3, as Stevie correctly says. We had Lewis Palmer scoring a hat-trick. We went into the lead early on. He scored after 9 minutes, and then Ken Barlow scored for Sligo Rovers to make it 1-1. And then S Power put them ahead. That's Simon Power. And then they were leading all the way until stoppage time, and we scored a double late on, showing that fighting spirit, Stevie, just like the weekend. Palmer again, 90 and 90 plus 2. The team that started, just to read you this out, Bain, Narodsky. I don't know if this is if Narodsky played right back. This is how I've got it anyway. I think potentially. Bain, Narodsky, Agbear, Welsh, Valle, McCowan, Bonner, Turley, Yang, Palmer and Dobby. We had Robertson, Bonnetig, Isiguzu and McCardle come off the bench. So a good workout. I think Brendan Rodgers said it was a great exercise. More pleased with the second half performance. He says young players need to improve their physicality, Stevie, more running power. And he also, before the game, had a great story, a classic Brendan Rodgers one. I'm not going to read it out word for word or do the accent or anything like that, but he spoke about the 18th of May 1983 when he was 10 years old and he went to watch Finn Harps versus Celtic, and he said that game made a lasting impression on him. It was his first ever Celtic game, and he says 41 years down the line he still remembers that day. So he said to his players before the game, you have an opportunity tonight that in 2065, that's 41 years from today, you can have inspired a child that came here tonight. Classic Brendan, eh?
Is that a wind-up? Is this one of your... Is this how you... No. Hamish Carton write for the joke book here?
No, that was a legitimate Brendan Rodgers quote before the game. People will back me up. He's firing all cylinders now. This is the Rodgers we wanted.
Speak for yourself. That part... What? Sometimes I respect it, man. It depends on how Celtic are doing in it, and sometimes I'm just like, shut up. But okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I genuinely haven't heard of that, and I'll choose to believe you. But aye, classic Brendan. I'm just assuming that some Anton Rogan and Danny McGrain part was wheeled out there as well. I wonder what player this season will be running in Lennoxtown to 2 a.m, and he'll start going, oh wait a minute, I'll give you a run in the team now. Might be Narodsky.
Who was that?
Remember the Boyata story in the first season when Brendan was saying he was running in Lennoxtown to 1 a.m? I thought, that's dedication for me. I'm going to give him a game. Anyway,
I think one day, maybe when things are a bit quieter, to be honest, this would have been a perfect time. We'll do a video, me and you, and we'll run through the finest Brendan Rodgers quotes and have a wee laugh about it. Listen, I love it. I really I really love what Brendan Rodgers brings to Celtic. I think he's the best manager we could have in charge at the moment, and I think he's doing a great job. European, top team matches aside, but we've got a chance to right those wrongs going forward. Right, a good result for the team, things to be learned, and a full house as well at the showgrounds. So a good workout. Right, we move forward. Actually, before we go into a few of your thoughts and questions, etc., there was another story reported by the Daily Mail last night. You may have seen this, Stevie. Celtic set to bring in former Exeter City boss Paul Tisdale to revamp the club's football operations. He's described as the football doctor, Stevie. Apparently that's a moniker that he's given himself.
Right, again...
You're in great form today, dear oh dear.
I just don't know what you want me to say to this. I don't really find stuff like this exciting. I don't find it interesting, but I understand we've got to talk about it. But listen, all I know is, as a player, he had a very uninspiring career, very underwhelming. But you don't want to talk about that, do you? As a manager, I think he was last at Stevenage or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's managed MK Dons, Bristol Rovers, Stevenage, obviously Exeter as well. He's a former Southampton midfielder, managed over 1,000 games, Stevie, so clearly very experienced, and he's been viewed for a senior role at Celtic, apparently going to oversee functions such as recruitment, data and coaching development. Seems to be kind of similar to the Gordon Strachan stuff back a few years ago.
Listen, all I know, all I just need to know, Hamish, is if he's more successful than Mark Lawwell. It's a big ask, I know, but if he's even just a shred more successful than him, then it's a good appointment, I suppose.
It seems like he might have a more kind of all-encompassing role. He spoke recently on a podcast, actually. This is just to explain a little bit more about what he does, Paul Tisdale. He said, I work as what I call a football doctor. I go into football clubs and I try to find performance improvement solutions using data and also my experience as a coach. I can translate very well from the boardroom to the pitch and from the pitch to the boardroom, and also deliver CPD, which is obviously continuous professional development, or coach mentoring. So yeah, it seems like he's going to be going in and as I say, kind of overseeing a lot of different departments at the club and hopefully raise standards there. I would still suggest we probably need someone else in the recruitment department, because even just in terms of numbers, I think we lost Lol, and also was it Joe Dudgeon who left earlier this year. So positive, I think, to see the club are making moves there. I'll certainly be doing a bit more reading and listening and watching into Paul Tisdale. May even try and speak to someone about him if this becomes a reality. He also gave Ollie Watkins his big break, Stevie, but didn't see Ollie Watkins' big moment against Netherlands in the summer, because where was he?
I don't know. You have to break it down for me and tell me.
Queen's Park versus Celtic. So that's where he was. So he didn't make that.
Was that we won that 6-3 or something, didn't we?
I think it was 5-3, but you may be right. Yeah.
Do you know who that guy is? I know, here's me. I'm really a fascinating one for you. Do you know who his uncle is? That guy Tisdale?
Craig White. I don't know.
No, James Faulkner, who played Randall Tarley in Game of Thrones. So there you go, a wee bit of trivia for you, brother.
Never seen it, and never planned to. Anyway, we'll go on to some questions. Right.
Please.
At long last, everyone. Well done if you just did the wee chapter thing and skipped ahead to 9 odd minutes and missed what the hell has happened over the last 9 minutes. Let's pick things up, Stevie. We've got Verdi socks. This will definitely get Stevie going. Great question. Best pubs to stop in at on the way to the game. You've also got best food van outside the stadium. Are they not just all the same? I don't know. And also our shops like the Glasgow Celtic wear at the Barras, etc. So any thoughts there, Stevie?
I don't know. I don't drink. No, pubs to stop at in the game. Believe it or not, it's I don't like that big walk from the city centre to Celtic Park. Hated it for ages, but I always go to one place before the games. Always go into Merchant City, and I'm always at Bar 91. I like to stop in there before a game. It's just near Merchant Square. Brilliant pub.
Is
It's
it a
great.
kind
It's
of
like an unofficial.
low-key Celtic kind of pub?
It's an unofficial Celtic pub, but you can even get in with colours and all that as well. Scarce a lot. That's the place me and you went when we were shattered after the League Cup final in 2023. We were knackered, remember?
Had a lovely pizza.
You did, actually. It was beautiful. But a food fan outside the stadium, they're all world-class Michelin star to me after I've had a few pints, don't worry about that. But I honestly, all I know is avoid the one. There's one right at the closest to the superstore.
I don't want to get done for
And
defamation here, so just be careful, please.
right, I'm not going to say the name. I've got to be very careful what I say, so I won't say the name. But it's like I remember getting the worst hamburger or cheeseburger for there, and it was like £9 or something. So bad, so avoid that. What's the other one? Shops. Like I don't really know. I've never really went into the shops like the Celtic where I know the one Verde Socks is on about, but I can't. I can't really comment on it, so I've never been. But Bar 91, definitely. I'd always go there before the game, 100%.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. I mean, the pubs I would go to before the game, the Squirrel was always quite a popular one that I quite liked. I think that's closed down now, hasn't it? I'm sure someone told me
Shut
about
down
that.
now,
It's a shame because I always liked there, and it wasn't too far from the ground. You'd kind of, if you walked out, it kind of broke up your walk quite nicely. Merchant City, there's a number of kind of nice places in there, a bit more, I guess, more kind of foodie places. Like Murphy's was all right after games. Got very busy after the big games though, but it would normally be
too hot down there. That Murphy's in it. It's roasting as well.
Yeah, it would normally be the Squirrel I'd go to before games. So I don't really know what I do now. My mind's literally gone blank now. I'm trying to think where else I would go. Where would we go if we were going for one before the games?
It would generally be Bar 91. Sometimes Bacchus we've went
O'Neill's.
into as well. Aye, an unnamed friend of ours' favourite bar, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's always in that area, isn't it, in the Merchant City, which is now somehow in the last few years just became a Celtic area. All of a sudden.
Yeah. Sorry, he'd been in there once. Certainly an experience in there. So, yeah, good question. We'll maybe return to that someday when we do our top 10 Celtic pubs. Right, Mr. Cake Jelly, who's publicly subscribed to the channel, has been for 7 months. What a legend. Please do that if you've not already done it. It means a lot. Saying, if you were to build a statue of a current player, who would it be and why is it Dyson?
Good shout. Really good question. But my favourite is still, despite his questionable performances this season, still CCV for me. Just like he's the closest player I've seen to the way I as a wee guy loving seeing Mark Reaper. He's probably surpassed Mark Reaper, but quite similar to Mark Reaper. He's developed a wee bit of reputation. He's been injury prone now. Reaper only managed to last like a season and a half really for Celtic, but when he wasn't injured to him, he was just magnificent, and that's the way I see CCV. I hold him in such a high regard that have him as one of the best defenders I've seen in my lifetime. So if I was to build a statue of a current player, it would be CCV, just for bringing me back to my childhood and being a real rock solid defender in the mould of Mark Reaper again. Who's yours?
Probably between, unsurprisingly, Callum McGregor and James Forrest, just for what they've given the club. I think, if we're honest, like, no one in the current team is deserving of a statue yet. Just to change the question, I guess, who, out of everyone in Celtic's history who hasn't got a statue at the moment, who's most deserving? I mean, Tommy Burns is kind of the one I'm thinking. Henrik Larsson.
Henrik for me. Henrik just.
So who does have statues? So Billy McNeil's got one. Brother Walfred, Jimmy Johnson, Jock Stein, has he got one?
Jock Stein. Yeah, Jock Stein. It's like the three.
Yeah.
The
Billy McNeil one's Bertie
Tommy Burns got a plaque, I think, hasn't he? Like just at the in the main stand, I'm sure. But Bertie Old's would be one too. Like any of the Lisbon Lions, really, in that respect. Like, But that question, it would be Henry Larsson for me, I think, Hamish.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. JFE talking about Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor is no number 6. We get away with it domestically as he is essentially a deep playmaker but is vastly exposed in the UCL, which I don't believe is all on him. What is the best option to address that in your opinion? Double pivot with Engels with Hatate ahead of them would be my preference against Atalanta. 4-2-3-1. Cheers for the content as always. Yeah, that's something I've seen mentioned by a few people. I think Enda mentioned it right after the Dortmund game, saying that he would look to play those kind of two players deeper, like a 2-1 rather than a 1-2. Which, you know, I would certainly be for. I think it would give us a bit more balance there. And Engels, it would seem like he could play there pretty comfortably. I say Paulo Bernardo probably could as well. Hatate's obviously, I say, a bit more attacking. Is that something we're likely to see, do you think, going forward? But just generally in the question, how do we address this issue? Maybe that, well, I don't think there's a maybe about it, that McGregor can be pretty exposed in some of these big games.
Well, recruitment has to be a factor in that, and you have to identify a player, you know, in the mould of like a Mislav Victor Wanyama type, but that's the type of player we need in that role, alongside or replacing Callum McGregor, no doubt about it.
What about now though, like in terms of like for the Atalanta game, if you can't sign anyone, is it a case of dropping a player back in next to McGregor, or is it like just generally that the whole team needs to be maybe just a little bit less aggressive in the press, like because we were so open against Dortmund the way we were pressing them, and for me just that just little bit deeper, allow Dortmund to have the ball a little bit. Obviously if they come into your half, you really need to try and win the ball back, but it does feel to me a lot of the time like McGregor's kind of on his own there in the midfield, because Engels and Bernardo against Dortmund were like surging away forward.
Yeah, it's something the manager, it's all on him to identify that though, and protect McGregor and generally protect the team and help us get a result there. 4-2-3-1 would be a sensible shout, but for me, unfortunately, I still think the manager is going to play a 4-3-3, and I think he'll maybe just have like the likes of Maeda and Kuhn maybe tucking inside, not have them pushed up as far on the pitch. Maybe have it maybe as like a midfield five without the ball, but I still feel that he'll primarily stick with a three. I'm just going with this historically because Brendan Rodgers hasn't changed it in any game in Europe before, so I can't really give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I think, yeah, changing it up against Atalanta, having Engels next to McGregor, or even Bernardo, as you say, would be the most like common sense thing to do. But yeah, I have my doubts on it. Certainly, excuse me, certainly would never see Hatate alongside them, so it would be a choice between Engels and Bernardo alongside McGregor. But yeah, that's one of the ones that we'll have to strongly think about immediately after Aberdeen, I would say.
What's your midfield for Atalanta then, right now, at this point?
At this point, what formation-wise are you talking about? The three is going down there? Cause,
whatever you want.
Yeah, it would be McGregor, Engels, and they'd be obviously the two that I told there. With Hatate just ahead of the midfield. I think Bernardo. Well, no, I think. Well, what we saw against Dortmund, like regardless of my feelings, and I'm not the only one because I saw on the channel like other people were talking with the Hatate conundrum too. Regardless, I still think he's braver in the ball than other midfielders we do have. We saw it against Dortmund too. So yeah, I don't think it'd be a massive risk with Hatate there. But yeah, I wouldn't. Again, it's a tough question. It really is, because no matter what, though, I mean, while I'm saying that, when you see what we've been like in Europe before, and you see like sort of over the past like few seasons how we've collapsed in other games when we've made changes to key personnel, it's like a systematic and a collective issue, not just down to a couple of individual players. So I think it's very much like you see with Scotland as well at the grand stage, isn't it? It's very much a collective issue, as a unit more than anything, more than money and individual. But I think that was what I would go with. Engels and McGregor certainly sitting more deeper, and Hatate, and especially with the likes of Maeda and Kuhn, supporting him more in that three, definitely. And I would still go with Furuhashi up front. Certainly wouldn't be switching it with Adam either up front against Atalanta. I think the movement for Ash is definitely something that we're going to have to really be relying on for that one too.
Yeah, very little service against Dortmund. Right, moving on. Tam PTV. How long do you think Aberdeen can keep their form up? Are they genuinely in the title race? And if you think now is too early to say, at what point would they have to still be up with us to make you say, yes, they're a serious threat? Probably it's like, is it two different things? Like being in the title race but also thinking they can win the league? Because do I think Aberdeen can win the league? To be honest, like no, at all, not at all. I think we're far too strong. Are they in the title race at this moment? I don't know. If there is such a thing as a title race at this stage of the season, they would have to be, because they've won every game and they're level with it. So that would be my answer to that. In terms of how long I think they can keep this form up, it's going to be interesting. I do think we'll beat them when we play them at Celtic Park. Could be proven wrong, but I think Celtic will be really motivated for that one. I think we'll really just want to really kind of burst their bubble, so to speak. And I think at Celtic Park, the fans will be up for that. I think we're a far better team than Aberdeen. And I think if we play to a top level, which I think the team might, because they'll be so up for it, I think we could win that by a few goals. So I guess at that point, it'd be interesting to see what would happen with Aberdeen, because they've obviously got some tougher games. I think they've got like Rangers coming up. Got us coming up a couple of more times in the following couple of months. So at that stage, I think it'd be interesting to see what the reaction was, because it feels like they're riding a bit of a wave at the moment. I've kind of dodged the actual answer there, Stevie. How long do I think Aberdeen can keep this form up? I think Aberdeen will finish third this season overall, but very comfortably third, probably by about 15 points, something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're a serious threat. I mean, if they are top, over Christmas, for example,
Yeah.
that's usually the moment, isn't it? When you see whoever's top at Christmas tends to be the team that you're in. But even if you had it in the past with different league, of course. But remember when people had all the doubts about Leicester and they were top
Yeah.
down in the Premier?
Remember Kelly
That type of
went
scenario.
top in like February. I'm sure if what would that be, like
No,
2019 or something like that?
2019. No, I don't think it was. Was it? You sure it was February? Was it not like they were top at the start of December and then we beat them 5-1 and we went ahead of them?
I'm sure
Are you
after
sure?
that, maybe we had games in hand, but I'm sure, or certainly they
Right.
went a couple of points behind us or something like that.
Well, remember as well, Aberdeen have been here before, 2015, 2016, against a much weaker Celtic side than what we see now. They won 8 games in a row, and then I think they drew with Inverness. And again, they beat Celtic 2-1, Ronnie Dyler's Celtic team of 2015-16, and they blew it. They dropped points in the next 4 games, and by all accounts, I say that Celtic side were there for the taking, but they couldn't capitalise on it. Seen it with Hearts as well, 2005. George Burley's Hearts won 8 in a row as well. Again, and arguably, okay, they were hampered because Burley left with the Romanovs situation. But yeah, obviously with that situation, that went against them. But aye, to answer the question, you have to respect them. I think you've got to argue they're in the title race now. I don't think they'll be able to keep their form up because it comes down to squad depth. And they haven't spent anywhere near. They've not got the resources like we do. And you'd have to really say that if they're like top or if they're challenging at Christmas, which I don't expect, that's maybe when you start taking them a bit more seriously. But I think they've been fantastic this season, done very well. I think not being in Europe's definitely helped them too. And yeah, I mean, if they come away for Celtic Park with a draw, or even 3 points, God forbid, then you'd have to sit up and take notice and go, some job the manager's done there, and we're up against it here. But I just can't see it. I think it just comes down to squad depth, and it just comes down to the vast amount of resources we've got, and ultimately, historically, when you see Aberdeen, I'm trying to remember when the last won something, was it in that 2014? Was it
Yeah,
that
Celtic Park.
cup? That's 10 years for a side like Aberdeen. That's ridiculous. You've seen them choke when it comes to it in my games against Hampden, and arguably even last season, Hamish, in that penalty shootout against us. Like, we had the bottle, they didn't. I know they were very close to it, and it could have went either way. But ultimately, the winning mentality we've got really got us over the line, and Aberdeen just don't have that on their side. So yeah, listen, we're doubting them now, and they've got to prove us wrong. But I think we've, earned that right, simply because when you look historically, and you look at Brendan's record over Aberdeen as well, I think it's really strong. To my knowledge, he only lost one game, and arguably, as they say in the biz, that was a work, was it not?
It was. Helped Aberdeen to finish second, of course, that season. I was at that game with a couple of our pals. Not a great day in terms of trophy day on the pitch, but
great day out after it though.
Oh yeah, the Drygate, of course, we were in there. That's one of our favourite boozers we should have mentioned in that topic earlier. Right, got a question for each of us before we go, Stevie. One for me. What's this from Donny Tiny Hands? What's the best thing about living in Australia? Undoubtedly, the weather, Donny. Yeah, just makes such a difference. Even in Melbourne or even in Sydney at the moment where I am, and it's quite changeable. The weather kind of similar to Melbourne. You get like a proper summer and it's sunny, even if it's not always particularly warm. It's quite often dry, so makes a difference from the dreich Scottish conditions. But I'll be back to Scotland one day to experience all that again. And finally for you, Stevie, lost in BKK 555. Strange one. Has Stevie eaten at every Subway in Glasgow yet? Didn't he take part in a disastrous Subway tour once?
Huh? What's he talking about? Is he not getting mixed up with Rizzo? He had a terrible Subway back in 2022.
Do
But
you want to tell people what was on? I don't know if we've ever covered this in the channel. This is Rizzo, who you've all been introduced to once. I think he was on after the Hearts game. And this was after we beat Rangers at Ibrox 2-1 in Angie's first season. Yeah. Everyone was on a massive high. 3 o'clock, something like that, bit hungry. Rizzo says, right, I'm going to head off and get something to eat. And he comes back and tells us what he ordered from Subway. And the mood just deflated. What was in the order again?
I actually felt like Rangers get 3 points that day when Rizzo told me his order. It was genuinely, it's not even funny. Sound like Lenny there, didn't I? I didn't find it funny. But no, so we got a foot long with the veggie patty, olives, cheese, tomato, cucumber, and mayo. And I just remember saying to myself, like, do we have to go out with this guy after it? It was one of the worst experiences of my life. It really was. But that's a strange question. I like a Subway, don't get me wrong. But I've not been to one in ages, and I didn't do a Subway tour. I think he must be confusing me with Rizzo. Maybe lost in BK. Is that Burger King? BK 555. Maybe he can shed some light on this. Maybe I'm forgetting something. I'm getting older now, so I might not remember this, Hamish. But no, I can't remember that. I'm sorry.
What would your chosen kind of fast food chain be then if you were going out in Glasgow, if not Subway?
Okay, I like Popeyes now. Popeyes is good. The chicken place. Oh aye. Oh yeah.
Never been.
That's good. The Louisiana chicken and all that. It's really nice. Beautiful. But what else is good? I like Barbarito as well, but it's a bit pricey. But it's good as well. They just do a proper wrap and everything, Hamish. It's good. And I'll tell you what though. Here's one for you. I sound like Melly McCoy still, don't I? But do you know what is going to make a comeback? And I've again trying to stay away from McDonald's, but the McRib's coming back, Hamish.
Oh,
McRib is coming back, and I think it's coming back next Friday. And I tell you what, I will be there no matter what. I will be there. So yes, I will. The McRib's coming back, and I tell you what, see the next time we're doing like a video or something, I'll get a McRib and I'll review it or something on the channel just for you, just for Lost in BK if he really is interested, or he or she is interested in my shenanigans. There we go.
Fabulous, Stevie. Thank you once again for chatting a bit about Celtic and a few other topics today. We'll catch up with you next week, probably when there'll probably be slightly more football chat. But
Can I just also say thanks to people and yourself for putting up with this cough. I've had to mute myself a few times, but hopefully for the next one, I'll be all good to go. But cheers.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Right, thanks everyone for watching this video. Just a reminder, because I've been told to hammer this point, with you that you can now listen to all of these episodes as podcasts. So if you're out and about on a run, driving, etc., you can listen rather than having to watch us. It works really well. I've done it myself. It sounds really good. And as I say, you don't need to actually look at our ugly mugs. So please do me a favour, go on your podcast app, search for Celtic AM and subscribe. It would mean a hell of a lot and make this all viable. If you want to leave a review, you can do that as well. It's on whatever podcast app you use. Much appreciated. You're all heroes. I'll return. It'll either be tomorrow or Saturday. I think John's going to come on and take his shot at a few questions.